And I'll preface with this, each one of these copy and paste is an individual tweet on Twitter. We'll be sure to share the link to the Twitter thread in the description. So getting started, the inspiration came to mind the other day to build energy towards manifesting a partnership that makes a lot of sense right now. And that partnership is between Tesla and Solar Roadways. I have a little bit of knowledge of Solar Roadways. I did my master's thesis on the viability of this technology replacing asphalt and concrete surfaces. And a lot has changed in the last 10 years. So that's kind of the preface to all this. If I want to talk to somebody, who do I want to talk to? So I began by sending this tweet out to Elon Musk and Solar Roadways. And it said, the thought of a partnership came to mind to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, open up asphalt and concrete surfaces to the solar market. Would be of great benefit, a transportation infrastructure that can pay for itself over time. So a lot of people are paying attention to some of these solar roads that can, like there's a lot of technologies where sidewalks have begun to incorporate solar. There's patches of road that have solar, but most people are gravitating towards building solar alongside the road. But all that does is double the expenditures because you still have to maintain the road. So by inventing a technology that incorporates roadway infrastructure and expenditures with power generation and transmission, you can converge all those costs into one, purchase that would create revenues by selling the solar. So that's the benefit of Solar Roadways versus most of these other platforms that are available. And Solar Roadways has been in testing through Small Business Innovation Research grants for the past 10 plus years. Okay, next tweet. So Solar Roadways plan is to start where traffic is slower speeds and less weight. So that means, home and parking lots and stuff. So we have driveways, sidewalks, patios, parking lots, parks, these kinds of things. So a lot of asphalt and concrete surfaces exist where cars don't even go, that kind of thing, to be able to start the build out towards overcapacity. So starting with sidewalks, patios, driveways, and parking lots. Plus, there are designs for transmission lines in a conduit alongside the road underground. And I put in parentheses, possibly a smaller boring machine, because there's synergies across all of, Elon's companies right now. And then there's competitors to those companies too. So that all the competitors, this would apply to them. Even a design for treating moving water underground on the other side. So there's, you have a conduit that would have the transmission distribution over here, and then a conduit that would hold water tanks under the freeze line that would collect storm water, send the dirty water to a water maintenance facility, and then the clean water back into the clean side of the tanks. So there would be dirty tanks and clean tanks. And you can theoretically install an infrastructure that could treat and transfer water along the entire roadway system, which is very, very beneficial, especially if you hook desalination into it. That's another thing to think about. But the solar itself can pay for these water transmission infrastructures as well. Okay, next tweet. Imagine the road communicating with all the vehicles in addition to the vehicles communicating with each other. Imagine putting 4680s into solar road panels. Imagine solar road panels disrupting snow removal due to their low heating elements. Okay, so three things there. Tesla has built full self-driving AI neural network where all cars are learning in real time and then sending that data back. And then the main system learns, and then every single car adopts that learning. So it's a new kind of level of iterative learning based on experience. And if you're able to plug another data stream in, like from the road to the car, then the road can feed data to the car, like, oh, there's traffic around the bend that you can't see. There's something in the road that you can't see, kind of warning about any kind of things that exist in the road that might become obstacles, and or how far away you are from another car based on what the road panels are telling you also. So you can build that kind of data in to kind of make the autonomous system more efficient. 4680s are batteries. So that's just kind of combining the scope of the solar road panel with energy storage, which makes each panel capable of becoming its own power plant, which is a beautiful thing. Each panel has heating elements in it to melt and drain away snow. Snow removal would be disrupted the more these solar road panels are built out. All right, next week. Imagine a solar roadways parking lot filled with cars still being able to power the facility or the outlet fully. Imagine converging power generation, transmission, and distribution of power and transportation infrastructure into one. So another way to say that is you combine power generation, the grid, and roadway infrastructure into one. And that's hard for people to comprehend, but that would involve a lot of things, including feasibility of some government agencies. Let's change how we pay for the roads. There's a looming, pretty serious situation where most of the road funding that we have now comes from car registrations and gas taxes. And there's some theories going out there that gas taxes are going to be severely hit in the next 3 years. So by 2025, we're going to see a decrease of nearly 40%. And then by 2027, it'll be 85%. So this needs to happen now. All right, next week. With the rapidly growing EV segment, the current revenue scheme for paying for roads is at risk. Let's shift the narrative to sustainable roadway infrastructure that adds solar and battery build out, in addition to building a single comprehensive renewable roadway system. And this is kind of what I was building on in the preface, is that we want to be able to spend the money on one thing, but converging together the costs of all these separate things. So we'd be able to incorporate the cost of all power generation, all grid infrastructure, and all roadway infrastructure into the solar road panel cost, and revenue that's possible. And then if you're just buying solar road panels, all you really have to do is flatten up the land. So all you have to do is prep. And then in some cases, put a base of asphalt or concrete down, but then you put the panels on top of that. So you only have to do once. And, just measure hydrostatic shock or whatever that, the earth moving that causes cracks in the road. So then you'd be able to repair those quickly. And then the ability for a road to pay for itself kind of changes the narrative. So it would open up a lot of avenues for people to be able to invest in roads themselves now. So instead of state, local, federal, and private entities that charge tolls to maintain roads, all you'd have to do is, sweep up debris, which would be a normal thing for road workers, and then replace panels as needed. So that it literally eliminates road maintenance costs. So building new road, that's something different. There might be a new mechanism to where we could use the earth alone as a base for putting solar road panels on. But we have to start to build out now so we can incorporate that into installation chain. Okay, next week. So now I'm starting to add in some more influencers. So I got Matt Posh's and Gerber Kawasaki. So these are just ETF. Gerber Kawasaki has Tesla. Lots of Tesla. They're a managed fund. And then Matt Posh's is a young entrepreneur that's heavily invested in Tesla. So receiving solar road panels to cover your ground surfaces as part of this compensation agreement between you can lead to growing revenue for you in addition to reaching carbon negative production. So Elon put out a tweet recently saying, doing things the way they're doing them, which is putting solar on the roof and then plugging into purchase power agreements from nearby renewables. Giga Nevada will be 100% production with renewables. So that would be carbon neutral, but that doesn't account for all the asphalt and concrete space they have there, or how much land they own there that they could flatten and put these panels and not only create carbon negative production, but invest in whatever, Bitcoin miners, solar farming, microgrid expansion, these kinds of things. Okay, next week. So I'm moving into this convergence kind of thought, where it's like solar roadways and 4680s, accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, plus Optimus bots, those are Tesla's humanoid robots, can install, perform maintenance on road panels that need to be replaced or refurbished. So many matches and synergistic potential. So in the beginning, humans will be installing these, at the pace, and then they build out workforces. But then when these bots become available, these humans will be augmented. So then, 10 bots with one human can do the work of 11 humans or more, depending on what they're learning in efficiency and speed and whatnot. So you can start to augment this base of learned installation with these robots, and then you're only limited at the rate you're producing. So you're not limited by installation, which is an important piece. Oh, and then converging energy storage, we'll get deeper into that later. Okay, next week. So I got Peter Diamandis in this one. So he's an entrepreneur out of the West Coast, and he's definitely zoning in on the energy abundance that we're about to reach. And I'll share some articles that he just posted to his email list. So my MTP is massive transformative purpose, is to accelerate the transition to zero marginal cost and abundant energy. So asphalt and concrete surfaces are open to the solar market, and solar roadways is ready for action. 4680s plus solar roadways equals acceleration to zero marginal cost kilowatt hours. And that's what we're all about, acceleration to zero marginal cost kilowatt hours. And we're planning on building up a platform that can also help accelerate that. Okay, next week. This one was kind of like a lot of different people and moving into the convergence space. So solar roadways converges power generation, grid, and roadway infrastructure together. Imagine converging Tesla's manufacturing prowess, batteries, bots, autonomous driving, battery storage, mega pack storage, supercharging auto better space with SR. So then I wanted to give some examples. So kind of build out a vision that with the synergies between both companies and the convergence of their technologies, these things could be possible. All right, next week. So going through them one at a time, converging Tesla's ability to produce tailored manufacturing plants as products, the machine that builds the machine. A precise factory can be constructed that would allow for rapid iterations of solar roadways, solar road panels, which I call SRPs moving forward, and other innovations. So we build SRP factories, and we can call them Giga or Mega or Terra or whatever, but they're SRP factories built and aided by design aid by Tesla. So Tesla is on the cutting edge of producing their own machines to build their assembly lines, where most other manufacturers take off-the-shelf machines available and then try to get the best out of what's available. So that's why I believe a tailored solution can be developed to where more and more of these are being pumped out every day. More and more of these are being utilized in supply chains. Glass from all over the world comes directly to these plants. So it's like recycling is a huge piece of it. Next week. Converging 4680 batteries with solar road panels would enable energy storage to expand the scope of what solar roadways can offer. By packaging together solar road panels with 4680s, more options to increase the rate at which storage is adopted and installed will expand. Because now we're talking, you can have the batteries anywhere on the property. You can have the batteries on a panel at a park or on a highway or parking lot. The idea kind of spreads this ability to create virtual power plants in larger and more and quicker fashion, because now you're getting this roadway infrastructure money poured in. And a lot of those panels, people will put 4680s into them. But what the energy storage piece does is accelerate the build out of solar, wind, and batteries. And then we have this situation where batteries and panels scattered throughout the area can generate a virtual power plant on top of what's available from homes already. So homes have their own ability to put batteries in them as well. So the virtual power plants that exist today are all home batteries, but combining that with solar road battery panels, you can really make a difference and accelerate the payoff of those panels that are participating in virtual power plants, which will then, continue to generate revenue that way and accelerate the payoff. So converging the Tesla Optimus bot with solar road panels will expand and enable the rate at which solar road panels can be produced, installed, maintenance performed, or replaced and refurbished. The ability to augment human labor with automated, trainable, physical labor is game changing. And that's just the start. So that's what I'm saying, is that one individual can have an army of 1,000 robots installing lane miles of these things at a time. It would happen much quicker than building a road itself. And that rate will be determined at the rate these panels can be produced. Next tweet. Converging full self-driving, which is the autonomous driving with solar road panels, will give another set of data to plug into. Each solar road panel comes equipped with communications and processing tech and abilities that allow each panel to communicate with any other panel. Why not communicate with the vehicles that are driving over too? So that's proximity ahead where you can't see, the cameras can't see, but the road can see. So the road can feed to the camera, and then it can be a confirmation of this fed data to when the camera finally sees the obstacle. So it can only add two by adding in these other data points. And then eventually mutual induction charging, and then the car can just communicate with the panel and take a little bit out as it drives over. Lots of things there. But I think having another set of data coming in from below will not only add to the foundation of autonomy, but add to the safety of all vehicles on the road. Because older vehicles, which the newer vehicles can't communicate with, the road will tell you. Okay, next. So converging megapacks with solar road panels. Megapacks are Tesla's, I think, 3.9 megawatt hour grid scale batteries. Would enable your entire surface to be charging them each day. So this would enable any asphalt and concrete surface to become a revenue generator. Being able to produce more energy in the same amount of space will enable more storage revenues to come in. This is another thing, is there's a step change upgrade when you do this, because then your entire space generates revenue. So you're using the same amount of space and you double the revenue. Next tweet. Converging solar road panels with supercharging. So the ability to charge an electric vehicle. The entire space would be generating power to be stored, used directly for charging, or sent back into the grid. In addition to canopy panels, which a lot of Tesla supercharging stations already have. So just above the charging ports, there's canopies. Solar road panels would make a great addition to any asphalt concrete surface. So you're going to even want to put these things under the canopy as well, because it's not about necessarily how much sun hits the panels that are under the canopy. It's about complete total of power generated with any shading, schemes by covering the entire space. Next week. So converging AutoBidder with SRPs. AutoBidder is Tesla's arbitrage software to buy energy when it's lower price and sell it when it's higher price. So combining AutoBidder with solar road panels would enable the arbitrage of much more energy over time. Solar road panels with 4680s would be equipped with AutoBidder and make it much easier to create virtual power plants using roadway infrastructure. I touched on this a little earlier, but the ability for any individual to contribute to the roadway infrastructure by purchasing a panel with batteries would have the option to participate in a virtual power plant if it's available in that area. And I'm assuming a lot of these would start up where it's available. Then you create this crowdsourced funding of the road. There's a lot of things here, so I got to add that tweet. And being able to participate in a virtual power plant just by contributing to enough capital to buy a solar road panel with batteries, then you'd receive the revenue of not only energy sold on a regular basis, but then the energy used by the virtual power plant, which can add on like 200-300% premiums. Like in California now, it's $2 per kilo. All right, next. All right, right at Tesla and Elon. Tesla, you have a lot of asphalt and concrete surfaces now. Not only that, much of your own lands are not being utilized right. Converge your space to be producing energy daily. Move solar road panels as you expand production. Can you say carbon negative production for all of your facility? It is not taken away from anything that anyone is already planning. This is in addition to, so this accelerates. Next. people are really concerned about, oh, the charging stations every 50 miles, way out in the middle of nowhere. No one's going to want to work there. No one's going to want to do this. No one's going to want to build infrastructure, build the grid lines out there, all this kind of stuff. So lots of criticism coming in from that. Let's simplify. So you need a charging station every 50 miles. Think solar road panels combined with the 4680s, combined with, charging, and eventually mutual induction charging, which is the wireless tech that we use for our phones. And all you need to do is flatten out an area to get started. As more and more vehicles start to charge, they're going to want to add in more chargers and amenities as demand grows. So amenities, we can talk about what those are in another tweet. So have a section for semis, and then intentionally utilize overcapacity. So we want to build out overcapacity of what it would require to charge that current level of demand for vehicles there. Not only test the bounds of abundant energy, but then start producing economic things. So overcapacity can be intentionally installed at these charging stations to engage in activities like Bitcoin mining, microgrid expansion, solar farming models, and other. To meet growing demand, there's a number of ways that you can get more power. You can flatten out more area, and just expand that way. If there's a limited amount of land there, build along the shoulder of the highway, and then add more storage. So there's lots of things. So until the panels move from parking lots and driveways to arterial roads and slower speed interstate highways, we will see the major interstates covered in panels last. But that transition will not take as long as it was originally thought, because we have all of these things that we've mentioned before, and then more, like the ability to augment labor, the ability to augment manufacturing. So these are just some ideas to be able to meet demand within a week, this kind of next. So hypothetical here, and I want to kind of build on this because you can only tweet so much. The more solar road panels you put down, the more total revenue would be coming in from the use of electricity at various rates. So charging would probably have a nice premium. Selling back to the grid would have a nice premium depending on what time of day it is. Solar farm agreements would be fixed, so you'd know exactly how much. Microgrid agreements would also be fixed. And this is just the ability for competition and the grid market to come in. Some will reach ROI quicker due to this delta. So go on to the next slide and then I'll expound. So accelerating payoffs of solar road panels with less exposure to higher premium usage. Meanwhile, as prices decline from economies of scale, the manufacturing learning curve, Wright's law, exposure to zero marginal cost economics, more solar road panels with improved specs can be installed for less. Theoretically, there could be a threshold where, with increasing revenues coming in and decreasing costs to create the panels, that you are bringing in more money every day. You're able to expand the rate of installation based on that margin. But what I'm getting at is realized abundance due to increased revenues coming in, paying off panels quicker, and then being able to install new panels with improved specs for less. So that follows the Tesla model, where they cut the costs and then the revenues, kind of increase over time. But this is all until we get the build out complete, because free or zero marginal cost and abundant energy. Okay, next slide. All right, so I touched for Farzad and Ramez Nam in this one. With the technologies in the pipeline for both solar and storage, the efficiency of solar cells and energy density of batteries will increase, often giving reason to iterate these new capabilities into solar road panels. So that's what I mean by mass iteration. So if the efficiency increased by 4% in years, you're going to want to have that in the next round of solar road panels. These cost efficiencies, these price performance, can double capability at or lower cost than the previous one. So that's kind of where I am now. There's lots to build on here, lots of things that we can add into this.